Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's installment of The Bama Factor with Alex Taylor. I'm your host, as always, Alex Taylor, and it's been about 13 days closing in on since the last episode drop, obviously previewing Alabama and Oklahoma. Took the week off last week, was celebrating, obviously, Christmas with each side of the family, so, just took a little bit of time off and, enjoyed time with them, but we are back just 2 days prior to kickoff, recording this on a Tuesday evening. This will go live on a Wednesday, so super excited. We got a lot to uncover. It'll be a little bit of a shorter episode, but overall, just super excited about this opportunity. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. As always, you're listening to the Bama Factor with Alex Taylor. If you're just joining us, welcome in. If you're watching us on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Keep growing this page as much as we possibly can. So, as I pull up our stats here from this first week, first of all, what a game from Alabama and Oklahoma. Lived up to the hype yet again. The huge storyline in the game was Alabama falling behind early 17-0. Just really could not get anything going on offense. Really looked like more of the same, from the first game and just from these last few weeks, and just didn't really feel or see anything different from Alabama. But then the lot the Lotsier Brooks touchdown on 4th and 2 is what changed the entire course of the game. The fight, the grit, just the willingness to get into the end zone was absolutely phenomenal from that standpoint. And that's what really started reeling off an unprecedented run um, for the Crimson Tide there to end that game from that point on in the second quarter. Just going by team stats, Alabama only 260 total yards, outgained by, 102 yards in this game, but got where it counted. Third down, the Tide did really struggle on 2 for 12. Oklahoma really started out hot, but, in the second half, they couldn't really get going. They were 7 of 18. Alabama also, less time of possession in this game. A key to the game is that I said is that they were going to have to control time of possession, and they didn't, and yet they still won. Um, but again, this came down to the turnovers, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But um, just going to the box score now, just to recap. Ty Simpson, 18 of 29, 232, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, Daniel Hill leading the way on the ground, 9 carries for 43 yards and a touchdown. Lotsier Brooks, 5 catches, 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Horton adding 5 of 65 as well. And then on the defense, guys just flying all over the place. Deontay Lawson, 10 total tackles, a sack. Justin Jefferson, 9 total tackles and a sack, 2 tackles for a loss. Keon Keeley having a good day, 4 total tackles, 2 solo, 1 for a loss, 1 sack. Johanze Pierre again, 1.5 tackles for a loss, half of a sack. So guys, just really, like 5 total sacks for Alabama on the defensive side of the ball. So just absolutely tremendous. But just this game, so many emotions. But really, when you get down to it and you look at the bottom line, Alabama went into a hostile environment in the first round, got down 17-0. They didn't flinch, they didn't blink, and were able to come back. And once they took the lead, they never surrendered that lead again. And they were able to close out the game and punch their ticket to the Rose Bowl on Thursday. So that kind of leads into the second segment. And, the question is Ty Simpson back again? And, I said after the SEC title game, I said on the podcast and my page after that, I said, I need Ty Simpson to be back. I need the old Ty Simpson back. And I even suggested, to put Keelan Russell or Austin Mack to give them an opportunity to start in this game. And, as a fan, that was a little premature of me. And, you know, I've already admitted it on my page, but I'll be glad to admit it here that, I jumped the gun a bit and I was a little bit too quick to say a few things. But, Ty, I think this is a game that he did get his swagger back. Again, didn't start off well, still took some unnecessary sacks, still kind of did some things at times, but other times made some really good throws and led some really good drives. And, his heart and his grit and his determination is what, kind of propelled us in the aspect of that game against Oklahoma. So, 18 of 29, 232, 2 touchdowns, took care of the ball, used his feet some as well. Um, and, I just think, kind of getting that confidence back, that swagger back, and then, now getting an additional 12 days from that point to heal even more, because I do think he was dealing with a little bit of an injury. Um, but Ty is a guy who he turned into, after going down 17-0, he turned into the guy who we saw at the first part of the season. He turned into that quarterback. So just super excited to see that he had a bounce back game. He really took command from that point on of going down 17-0. He didn't blink. He didn't flinch. As a matter of fact, it just seemed to really motivate him more. So, Ty Simpson, I think, is he back? Yes, he's going to have a tall task this Thursday against Indiana, but I'm looking forward to seeing him, get his opportunity in the grandest bowl game of them all, the granddaddy of them all, as they call it. So now going into our third segment on the other side of the ball, on the defense, after really getting down 17-0 and, thinking about, man, our defense is getting put in bad situations. Our defense is kind of in short field. They're giving up third downs. We can't really stop anyone. But once we blocked that punt and once we kind of got some stops there and, we were, kind of getting a little bit of momentum, I said, okay, we look pretty confident on that side of the ball now. Zabiem Brown's pick six. Two things. One, I called it. I said a pick six would be great right now. I don't care who it's from. I just said I'm calling a pick six right now. I don't care who it's from. Sure enough, the ball was snapped. As soon as Zabiem picked it off, all I was screaming at the TV was score. And I think when you look at just how Zabiem Brown has played in his career, you look at it this year, there are 2 pick sixes that Brown has had this season right before the half that has swung the momentum in the favor of Alabama. And obviously the first one against Tennessee earlier this year in Tuscaloosa, 99 yards all the way to the house, and this one obviously 50 yards to the house to tie the game. And that brought us back even at 17, and it was right before the half. And just the momentum that created for Alabama, and the fact that we got the ball first in the second half, it's amazing that the defense steps up at those times. And again, the defense, just stepping up on other third downs. We made some really good open field tackles. We made Mateer really uncomfortable in the second half. The front played exceptionally well, getting to him, sacking him 5 times. We had 9 tackles for a loss in that game. So, our front really started being physical. Our front really started getting after it. And, Keon Keeley is a big guy who has just really come into his own and really had a good game. Johannes Pierre started having a good game. Justin Jefferson, he was back from injury, had a good game. Obviously, Brown did. Hubbard did. Sab. I felt Red Morgan also had a really good game. Tim Keenan did with a block punt. So again, the defense as a whole just really came alive, and I was just really, really excited to see them also be in that response phase to getting down 17-0 and not quitting and still attacking the ball, still flying to the ball. I mean, we were down 17-0 and Justin Jefferson is flying and meeting people in the hole and playing people in the backfield. So, that's the type of attitude that I just love from this team here. And now leading into our next segment, before we get into our preview and our prediction, it's just we're in a familiar spot again. And I say familiar spot because the good old media, everybody in the media is, once again, continuing to doubt Alabama. And from the talks the last 12 days, from your experts, from your podcasters, from your influencers, from people on social media, Alabama shouldn't even show up on Thursday. Alabama should not even get off the plane. They shouldn't have flown to Pasadena. They don't need to get off the bus. They don't need to get on the field. They don't even need to play the game because apparently this is going to be an absolute blowout from Indiana because Alabama is not physical. Alabama's not talented. Alabama's not good. Alabama doesn't deserve to be here. Indiana is the best team of college football history is all I'm hearing. And I'm just going to say this, I don't think Indiana is a bad team. I don't. Obviously, they've got a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. They've got a good offensive run game. They got good receivers. Obviously, their defense has been very stout this whole season. That's been a lot of their success, giving their offense a lot of opportunities. So, I'm not going to say that they're not a good team, but to sit here and talk about them like they're 2019 LSU or 2020 Alabama or 2001 Miami is just asinine. This team has come out of nowhere, and they are having a Cinderella type run. So let's not pretend like this is a common occurrence for Indiana, and you can kind of see some of their fans handling it that way this season. They don't know how to handle success at all. Um, but all of the media is totally doubting Alabama. I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of the game day crew picks Indiana to win this game. I would not be surprised if the majority of all of the all of the people in the media and the prognosticators to pick Indiana to win this game. I can fully bet that the majority of the money will be on Indiana. I can fully bet that the money line will be on them. So Alabama's in a familiar spot with Alabama against the rest of the world. And let me just say one thing. I love it. I absolutely love it. And when you're in that point, Alabama's been the villain for so long, and it feels so good to still be that. I love being the villain. I love being the team everybody hates because if they're hating you, then you're doing something right. And they just can't stand the fact that you win. And, they said the dynasty was supposed to die, against Oklahoma. The dynasty's going to die this Thursday. And they just keep saying these things. And this team is just really feeding off of that. And I can't wait to just see the opportunity that they have in front of them here. So as we jump into our preview and our prediction as we round out this episode, obviously Alabama, Indiana, Alabama ranked number 9, obviously in the CFP. They were the 9th seed. Indiana, the number 1 overall seed, 13-0 champs of the Big Ten, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Fernando Mendoza as well. So Alabama headed back to Pasadena 2 years ago, upset at the hands of a little team up north called, obviously called Michigan, in overtime. A lot of those players still on this team who felt that pain of that defeat and of that loss. So we'll be looking to have a get back in this game to redeem and avenge that loss against them. So obviously giving the Indiana Hoosiers ESPN has 71.4% chance to win, only 28.6% chance for the Crimson Tide. As I said, the media continues to doubt. 7-point underdogs are the Tide, plus 200 on the money line for Alabama. Their over-under set at 47.5. Forecast is set to be very wet, very rainy, it looks like. So this could be an interesting game here. But fresh on the new year, January 1st, 2026, it is going to be an absolute barn burner here. 82% of America in the Capital One Bowl Mania picking Indiana to win this game. So again, all the odds against Alabama, everybody against Alabama, Alabama against the world. Going into this, where this starts is it starts with Ty Simpson again, and it starts with his confidence and that I think he has regained. I think it starts up front with the offensive line. The offensive line's got to have a good game. We've got to find some type of run game. I don't care if it's outside. I don't care if it's trick plays. We've got to find some type of run game. There's got to be somebody emerge. We've got to be able to run enough to keep them honest. But also, I see, obviously the first game, against Oklahoma, Lottie Brooks was, the surprise for a lot of people, having his breakout game. And, now it could be him again. It could be Horton. It could be, Jeremy. But it also could be Ryan Williams. And, Ryan has been due a game. And, yes, he's had his struggles this year. He's had his drops this year, kind of had a sophomore slump. But I think he's due a game. He's due a big game. And I'm super stoked to see what he's going to do. And then it also just starts, forcing Fernando Mendoza into uncomfortable situations, getting after him. He's not really that much of a dual threat, but, he does a good job at stepping up in the pocket. He does a really good job against, even disguise coverages, which we like to do a lot. But we've got to force him into pressure. We've got to get after him. We've got to make him uncomfortable. Indiana also has a really stout run game, so, we've got to stop the run. We've got to be good on first and second down. We've also got to get off the field on third down. And, it's creating turnovers in this game. I think, Alabama needs to create about 2 to 3 turnovers, 2 to 3 turnovers in this game to really kind of swing the momentum in their favor. This could be a run-heavy game. If that is, Alabama might struggle. But I think, Ty Simpson is going to have to be, really in all facets of the game. He's going to have to be sharp, on his reads, on his checkdowns. And, because Indiana does have a good defense, and Indiana does pressure a lot, and they do blitz a lot. So, Ty's going to have to make quick choices. He's going to have to, trust his instincts, trust his gut, and just go out there and cut it loose. But I think at the end of the day, Alabama is still way more battle-tested than Indiana. They have been through the gauntlet. They played Georgia twice. They played Oklahoma twice. They played teams like Tennessee, LSU, Vanderbilt, so on. And this team is just resilient. They just keep coming back, and they've been more battle-tested. And I just think that at the end of the day that they're more battle-tested than Indiana. And I think the final score of this game will be indicative of that. So I'm going to give the edge, obviously, to our Crimson Tide. I'm going to go Alabama 27, Indiana 20. And I think that 20 will come late when the game doesn't really matter. And Alabama will walk away and punch their ticket to Atlanta in the semifinal in the Peach Bowl. So that is my final prediction. I'm sticking to it. Guys, I hope every single one of you have had a great Christmas, a very Merry Christmas. I hope you had. Hope you're having a good week so far. Whenever you listen to this, good morning, evening, night, day. I hope that you have a blessed and a happy new year. I hope 2025 was good to you. I hope 2026 is filled with blessings and joy and prosperity for you and your families, for your careers, your children, if you have any, your jobs, your spiritual life. I pray that 2026 is good to all of you. Happy New Year to all of my followers as well. Thank you guys so much for just such a great 2025. Huge things coming in 2026. This page is going to be taking on a lot of brand new things. There's going to be a lot of brand new ideas, new series, and this page is going to expand a pretty good bit in 26. So huge things coming in 26. I want y'all guys to stay tuned and just be on the lookout, for some really big things as well. But thank you guys for making this podcast so great. I love and appreciate all you guys. And we will be back here in 2026 next week to recap whether Alabama has lost or whether Alabama is advancing on. Hopefully they're advancing on. I would love it if they do. But we're going to come back and in the event that Alabama were to fall at the hands of Indiana, we will recap the season and go over a little bit of our off-season preview. And we will be looking forward to being with you guys again. So as always, guys, good night. God bless. Roll Tide. And Happy New Year.